Hey everybody, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that maybe there's a few of you out there of my 332 subscribers that might be interested in this topic. But my question for you is how many of you guys make your own disc detainer front tensioning tool tip? This happens to be the silver bullet tip, and I can say that a lot of thought went in this tip. They removed material in order to clear a lot of the butterfly disc, and some of them might be with offset warding, some of them might be with center warding. I think that the consensus is it's much easier just to run a slit down the center to clear the center warding that you most often find. But here is a disc that comes out of a Chinese lock, and I'm wondering why they gave so much slop. Maybe these weren't really prevalent at the time. Maybe there's a few locks out there that really do require a narrower tip. This tip measures 2.86 millimeters in width, and the depth measures about 3.5 millimeters. Now, I'm very interested in making some of these tips and doing it very quickly. I have made other tips before using an armored cutoff disc on my drill press, using an XY slide vise. Guys, it was time consuming. I just cringe at the idea of having to do it again and make more of them. This material, I think, is hardened stainless steel, if I'm not mistaken, but a lot of us are quite aware of using these 6mm ejector pin sleeves. And this happens to be a 6mm by 2mm. But the problem is when you buy these things, you can buy them in different lengths. And here's one with a 2mm ejector pin. The only real usable material is about the first 3 to 4 centimeters. You go beyond that, the hole becomes too large. That's just the way they make these things. Now, that might be really good or okay if you're just going to use one end, and that is the very end of the metal. Because by rights, when you're using your ejector pin, uh, disc tip tool, pick, whatever you want to call it, whether you're using a 1.4 or a 1.5 pick, you're going to want to select the appropriate size seamless capillary tube. Now that can be a 2 by 1.4 millimeter or a 2 by 1.5 millimeter. Now you can elect to only cut off a little bit, a piece of that material and recess it in with the idea, hey, you only need a little bit in order to guide the pick and keep it center. And I agree with that premise. Because if you go the full length, then there's more friction on the actual inner picking tip, and you want to minimize that. Is it absolutely necessary to do it, full length or not full length? Full length is optional, but there are some perceived benefits by going shorter. But if you do go shorter, you want to make sure that you recess the capillary tube about 2 millimeters. And the reason for that is because where the shaft marries to the head of the ejector pin, there's a slight bulge, and you want your tip to be able to make surface contact with the edge of the ejector pin sleeve. And you got to accommodate for that bulge. So by recessing the capillary tube, you're going to take care of that issue. So I spoke earlier, I want to be able to make these things quickly and make them silver bullet-like. And I came up with a really easy technique. So what I do is I take a drill stop collar. This is 6mm. And I set this thing down to 3.5 from the end. And I want to clean up the end, make sure there's no roughness in it. And so the thing's been set to 3.5, and this is a 6mm shaft. So what do? Well, I take a Dremel type tool with arbor disc, and I just go all the way down and across. And this drill stop collar tells me how far I need to go in terms of depth. Now there is that concern that you might be going at an angle. It's always better to go slightly down and out than it is from down to in, because you can't make up for lost material. So earlier I spoke that I felt that the silver bullet tips were too narrow, and I make my tips about 3.06 in width, and that seems to be a little bit better, and it gives a little bit more strength to the pick end itself, or the tension tip itself, and less likely for slipping. So now the question becomes, how do you make this thing level? Well, your eye is the best eyeball, in my opinion. So now you're going to hold this thing horizontally, and you're going to check for level. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take your gem wheel and you're going to just grind away back and forth over the surface until you get a nice flat surface. And you're just going to compare it to see how horizontal it looks. The eyeball is incredibly gifted at discerning the difference between level and not level. It's pretty noticeable. Trust me. Anyway, you're going to want to take some pre-calculations on terms of your width. So if this is a 6mm shafted sleeve, and your target is 3.06. So what you're going to do is you're going to take 6mm, subtract 3.06, and that difference, you're going to divide that by 2, and that number you're going to subtract from 6mm. And you're going to take your dial caliper and measure from end to end, and then when you got the met number, you know you got the right amount of material removed. And guys, using this stop collar, it's so quick and easy. So the next thing you're going to do is rotate it and do the same thing. Always err on the side of caution. Don't cut too close. And dip this thing in water if it should get too hot. And you're going to want to just go across. And again, keep the thing parallel to the cutting disc. And believe me, your eye is capable of doing some amazing things. You guys will get it really accurate. The drill stop collar will keep that thing from going too deep. Again, rotate it, check it for level. If you think that the tip doesn't quite look parallel, and then maybe this top side is a little high, then you're just going to want to kind of shave down a little bit and just gradually cut deeper on this side and gradually smooth it out. And I get some really quick results when doing this, and extremely accurate using this method. I highly recommend it. Many of you probably use files. Guys, give it up. You don't need it. Use this technique. It works so much better. And I look forward to your feedback, and let me know how this technique worked for you. Have a great day.